situation where a baby is dead and that's all they have. It was a situation where there were no witnesses to what had happened. But during those days, the method that they have for extracting the truth when there's no witnesses involved was by means of torture. And again, what happens with that? As so often as a result of that, many innocent people end up confessing to crimes that they didn't commit, because the goal is no longer finding out what the truth is. The goal is to get the pain to stop. That was the problem. And what was the result of that? Well, justice became flawed. Justice became flawed because the method for finding out the truth in a matter when there's no witnesses to a crime that had happened was flawed. Now I want us to come to Numbers chapter 5, and I want us to notice how different God is. Notice how different God is, and the method that he uses in cases where there's no witnesses. You have a situation where a husband suspects his wife of adultery. He can't prove it. And her situation is, well, she may deny it or say nothing at all. There's absolutely no evidence. There's no witnesses in which Israel is able to go about and to convict this person. And I want you to think about that. God did not tell the husband, put her on the rack until she confesses to what she did. He didn't say take your wife to the priest and have the priest put her thumbs in the screws until she confesses to this adultery. He didn't say these things. He didn't say threaten and coerce and intimidate until she admits to what she did. And this is in thinking about how humans handle things when there's no witnesses involved versus how God handles things. I just want us to consider the wisdom in that. Because God does not authorize torture. He did not authorize coercion. He did not authorize intimidation. Instead, God set up a process by which the truth of a matter can be made known, and that's something very important. And I think there's an important lesson here in the latter end of this chapter here, is that there are some things that humans are just limited in their knowledge. There are some things that we can't know, and when there's a situation that can't be established by witnesses, the matter is placed where? In God's hands. Why? Why?
He's a just God.
Because He's a just God.
He's the only one that could know the truth in these cases. The only one that would be able to make the righteous judgment. Because that's what the verse says. It says, the Lord will make your fire rot and your belly swallow. He will determine the truth.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Why? Oh, okay. Correct.
I remember what Jesus told Nathaniel when he told him that there's no gal was following him, and then he said, "How did you know me?" And then he said, "I saw you when you were sitting underneath the tree." So God saw the act.
Yeah.
There was an act. So it's a done deal. He saw it.
Yes. God saw it. You know, when God had presented this information to Nathan, the prophet, you know, if you can imagine, David thought that nobody knew what had happened concerning Bathsheba until, well, it turns out, you know, God knew precisely. Again, a situation where there's no witnesses, you know, God knows all. He sees all, and he knows the hearts of men. And I think that there's something that we can learn from this principle. You know, there are times when people are questioned and they become suspect of something, and the truth of the matter can't be fully known by humans. But again, God knows all. God knows all. He sees what others don't see, and therefore he can be a just judge. Torture is not a just way of finding truth, because torture does not protect the innocent. When it comes to torture, somebody who is innocent may throughout the torture continue to confess their innocence, continue to confess that they did nothing wrong. But what's the problem with that? They still have to endure the torture, don't they? God's system protects the innocent. I think that this is something that about Numbers 5 that is often overlooked. God here is protecting both parties, if you think about it. You know, some people might read through this passage and thinking, well, you know, God is only concerning himself with the husband in this matter. Which is true. God is concerning himself with the husband, but if you think about it, this is God's way of also protecting the innocent wife too. If she's suspected of being unfaithful in that marriage, you know, without this procedure that we can read about in Numbers 5, there is no way there's no way that the husband would be able to satisfy his jealousy. And what do you think is going to be the result of that for the innocent wife?
Torture.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or there wouldn't be a system set up where she could clear her name.
He would forever resent her.
Yeah.
And it would cause division in their marriage.
Yes. And also that this is a divinely supervised process that keeps the husband from being the judge, jury, and executioner, so to speak, in this situation. And this is important. This is an important matter, because this is God's way. As confusing and as controversial as this process is that we can read about here in these verses, the big thing for us to understand, this is what God has set up, not only for punishing guilt, but also for preserving justice. Because torture to extract truth when there's no witnesses is not a just way of handling things. Numbers chapter 5. I think that I'm trying to remember. I think that we got up to verse 19. You have 25? Okay. Well, we'll read up to there. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, if any man's wife goes astray and is unfaithful to him, and a man has intercourse with her, and it is hidden from the eyes of her husband, and she is undetected, although she has defiled herself, and there is no witness against her, and she has not been caught in the act, if a spirit of jealousy comes over him, and he is jealous of his wife when she has defiled herself, or if a spirit of jealousy comes over him, and he is jealous of his wife when she has not defiled herself, the man shall then bring his wife to the priest, and shall bring as an offering for her 1/10 of an ephah of barley meal. He shall not pour oil on it, nor put frankincense on it. It is, okay, again, this is not the regular grain offering. This is considered whereas the grain offering would get oil and frankincense, but this is a situation where it's not. So it's just plain barley meal. It's a grain offering of jealousy, a grain offering of memorial, a reminder of iniquity. Then the priest shall bring her near and have her stand before the Lord, and the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and he shall pour some of the dust that's on the floor of the tabernacle and put it in the water. The priest shall then have the woman stand before the Lord and let the hair of the woman's head go loose, and place the grain offering of memorial in her hands, which is the grain offering of jealousy, and the hand of the priest is to be, and in the hand of the priest is to be the water of bitterness that brings a curse. The priest shall have her take an oath, and shall say to the woman, if no man has lain with you, and if you have not gone astray into uncleanness, being under the authority of your husband, be immune to this water of bitterness that brings a curse. If you, however, have gone astray, being under the authority of your husband, and if you have defiled yourself and a man other than your husband has had intercourse with you, then the priest shall have the woman swear with the oath of the curse, and the priest shall say to the woman, the Lord make you a curse and an oath among your people by the Lord's making, your thigh waste away and your abdomen swell. And this water that brings a curse shall go into your stomach and make your abdomen swell and your thigh waste away. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. The priest shall then write these curses on a scroll, and he shall wash them off into the water of bitterness. Then he shall make the woman drink the water of bitterness that brings a curse, so that the water which brings a curse will go into her and cause bitterness. The priest shall take the grain offering of jealousy from the woman's hand, and he shall wave the grain offering before the Lord and bring it to the altar. And the priest shall take a handful of the grain offering as a memorial offering and offer it up in smoke on the altar. And afterwards he shall make the woman drink the water. When he has made her drink the water, then it shall come about, if she has defiled herself and has been unfaithful to her husband, that the water which brings a curse will go into her and cause bitterness, and her abdomen will swell and her thigh will waste away, and the woman will become a curse among her people. But if the woman has not defiled herself and is clean, then she will be free and conceive children. This is the law of jealousy, when a wife being under the authority of her husband goes astray and defiles herself, or when a spirit of jealousy comes over a man and he is jealous of his wife. He shall then make the woman stand before the Lord, and the priest shall apply all this law to her. Moreover, the man will be free from guilt, but that woman shall bear her guilt. All right, so when we take a look at these verses, particularly in verses 25 through 28, what do you think? What do you think the key idea throughout this passage is?
Seek the truth.
To seek the truth.
Whether she did or didn't, and to quelch his jealousy, so that he's not raging constantly with jealousy. There's many relationships that are destroyed today over jealousy, and there's no way to remedy it like there was with this. This is perfect, because if this was available today, then a lot of people would have to close their mouths, because then there would no longer be no need for jealousy and destroying each other.
Yeah.
Over it.
This is why I said this previously.
Right, yeah.
This is one of the protections that is built into the law
Right,
here.
so it's not only, condemning the guilty, but you're right,
That's right. That's right. And the husband may mistreat his wife
Correct.
without proof.
Just even burning with jealousy is mistreating her, because now there's no trust in the relationship.
Yeah.
And now the marriage is potentially destroyed
Yes.
over it. So, yeah, it's great.
David, then Janice.
I think it's also a reminder that, or yet another reminder that it's God's place to pass judgment. It's not our place to pass judgment. You know, we can have suspicions, we can think that somebody has wronged us in some way, but ultimately it's up to God to decide whether that is true or false. Because again, like Eric said earlier, he knows the situation, and especially under the old law, the way that God had things set up, that was how He designed it to happen. That's just again so that, like Jessica was saying, so that it could remove that chance of the man just continuing to beat the woman down for something she didn't do.
Yeah, absolutely. Janice.
I agree with both of you. While he's away with his other wife, and then he could be jealous of the woman that the other, I know that they married, there was a couple of people they married. So while he's away with his other wife, he could be jealous of the woman that he left behind, thinking she's doing something. And I also wanted to bring out 16, verse
Mhm.
16, when I know that you said there's nothing magical going on with the holy water or the dirt from the tabernacle, but God's presence was there. So so I think I won't say it's magical, but His presence was there. So and He told us, He told them to take the dirt and to take the holy water. So if they would have taken any other, His presence wouldn't have been there.
That's what made everything.
I totally agree, because the power is you're right. The power is not in the water.
No,
The power is in God's judgment.
right.
And God is there. This is not magic, and it's not a superstition. This is God's method for an appeal to define judgment here.
What I'm trying to say is, I agree with that, it's a
Yeah.
method, but it's also His presence was in the tabernacle when you couldn't touch things because it was holy. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
there, and I'm saying the dirt, His presence was there, all over the tabernacle, in the holy water. That's why it was holy, because it was set
Correct,
apart for
yes.
Him.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, it's not just because He told them to take it there, it's because His presence
Yeah.
was
And I'm not saying that there wasn't anything significant about what this formula that God used. Not only the holy water, wherever this holy water came from, probably from the laver before the tabernacle, but you're right. It's indicative of the presence of God. Yeah. That's a really good observation. But I think that certainly a big thing to pull from this is that that this is protection for that was built into the law, and it's God's way of providing that truth in a matter be established, and that no one is falsely accused of things and mistreated. Go ahead, Jessica.
I was gonna say, I agree with you, Janice, because you realize that's the first time you actually see the two words holy water put together, from what I could see. And you're right, everything that was in that tabernacle became holy, including the water. And I like how this was not for God to just see what the truth was, because like Eric and all of us said, He already knew the truth. But this was a remedy so that the man could see what was true and what was not true, you know, for the guilty party or not guilty party. So it wasn't like, you know, God's waiting for the results of like, who did it? You know, God already knew. So, this was more for the people involved, the one that, the accuser and the
Okay.
accusee.
I think it's got more purpose than that. It's got a double purpose. You know, he could have just as easily said, you know, pull the Urim and Thummim from the breastplate of the high priest, and yes or no, is this woman guilty or innocent?
Right.
But
Well, no, because
So
if it's
it was-
adultery, then that rotting of the thigh and the swelling of the belly for the guilty, she was gonna be forever marked.
yes, this was so it was not only for the revelation of truth for the people as you had said, but also God exercising judgment
Correct, exactly.
against the guilty.
Right.
So it isn't only just a revelation of truth. So yes or no. It's yes, no. God
With
is
punishment, yes.
he is judge, jury, and executioner in this situation.
Yes.
Go ahead, Janice.
And I was thinking about the lots, you know, casting the lots to find out if the woman was guilty or not. But then I thought, but would the man actually be like, okay, and just go on about his business? You know, if the lot came out, she's innocent. You know, okay, it probably would have still been in the back of his mind. But with this, and she didn't rot away or whatever.
Right, that was definitive.
Right.
Correct, yes. There was no balking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, okay, it could go yes or no, and then you off to the races, but.
Yeah.
But it's still back there tinkering away.
Mhm.
And it satisfies that jealousy.
Yeah, correct.
But again, you know, just God's system for making sure that the truth is established and the innocent are cleared, and not only that, but cleared in a public way.
Yes.
And I think, unless somebody else has anything to add for Numbers 5, you know, before, I do have some questions. I think we pretty much answered all these questions. You know, why do you think that God provided this procedure instead of allowing a jealous husband to act on suspicion alone? Protect the innocent. Protect the innocent.
Well,
God
and it is
preserving
because
justice.
The jealousy will cause him to fall into deep sin if he just festers on that jealousy. So it's to remove the jealousy from him,
Yeah.
you know, as well. So it's.
Look at this. Doesn't this sound like a much better system than human systems
Correct,
for
absolutely.
establishing guilt or innocence when
That's why I said
the truth can't be known?
Many marriages and relationships have been destroyed over jealousy.
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
Yeah. And I mean, I want you to consider infamous murder cases that we've had over the last few decades. You know, where people will accuse somebody of murder, and then they'll go through a murder trial, and through the murder trial they're found innocent, but people still aren't satisfied with that.
Exactly.
And they're satisfied with the system, and all these questions start coming up. This sort of system removes all that.
Correct.
This is because it's definitive, because God sees what man cannot see. Brother Mike.
I hear people justifying their jealousy today because God was a jealous God. But because God did something doesn't mean it was right for us to do it. God is God. And things belong to God that don't belong to us. So, that might be off this topic, but how do we solve these problems today? I've seen this problem in people that I'm close to, where somebody was suspicious of their wife,
Yeah.
but they couldn't prove it. And
but it'll still chew you up. It'll still chew you up. There's always something in the back of your mind. I was just wondering.
That's my point. If you're jealous,
Yeah.
you need to repent.
So
If you got facts, true evidence, then we know what the options are.
yeah, but again, it just underscores there are some things that we may never know the real truth about. But what do these passages teach us about God's knowledge of things that are hidden from other people?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he sees all.
yeah. Another point that we didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about, because concerning this passage, going back to the beginning of chapter 5, we had talked about this chapter here really emphasizes purity among God's people. Why?
Because he's holy.
Because he is holy, and his presence is there among his people. And if his people are going to be around his presence, then they need to be holy. And any amount of unholiness, any amount of dirt, so to speak, has to be dealt with. It has to be dealt with. Even suspicion of uncleanness, suspicion of unholiness has to be dealt with. And God sets up his method in dealing with this. But how does this passage emphasize the importance of faithfulness within marriage?
God commanded it. And if you're faithful in your marriage, and you're faithful to God. That's how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. And go ahead.
It's kind of a case of, what's the phrase, that an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Like, if you can prevent things from happening, you don't have to go through, if you can be faithful, then you don't have to go through this process of finding out the truth, or, maybe it would be better, because this has sacrifice in it, when God says that he desires obedience rather than sacrifice. If you're to obey, you're faithful, then you don't have to, offer the grain offering, or do this or do that, or the process that they have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one, faithfulness.
Yeah, absolutely. Faithfulness, holiness in all aspects of your life. Not only in worship, but also in your family life. Faithfulness to God, faithfulness to your brethren, faithfulness to your family, faithfulness all around. Walking in holiness and righteousness.
And God compares the marriage to us being married to him. And so when we are faithless, then that's egregious to him. So if we are faithful in our marriage, then we need to be faithful, like you said, faithful to God, because we're married to God also.
Yeah, well,
Spiritually.
marriage was not viewed just as a private arrangement between two people. It was a covenant before God. And men don't take these things seriously. We see that in our culture, in our society today. But God takes this covenant. This is the covenant that was arranged from the very beginning. That this procedure shows us is that God takes these things seriously. God takes faithfulness and integrity and commitment in a marriage relationship seriously. Because if there's no faithfulness, if there's no commitment, if there's no integrity in the smallest unit of our society, the family, how do you think that this is going to reflect on the people as a nation?
Oh, it's like
You
cancer,
know-
it'll spread.
Weak families are going to equal a weak nation. Strong families equal strong nation. David?
I was thinking along those same lines that you just talking about before Dennis brought it up. That I'd just like to add to that you know, we mentioned faithfulness in as far as staying true to your partner, but there's also the faithfulness of trusting your partner and not falsely accusing them. You know, because like you were saying, it's not just a union between two people; it's a covenant relationship, and that God's involved with, and it's a reflection of, like Dan said, the covenant that we have with Him. And because since God has made promises to us, and we trust in Him, and we trust in those promises, and we stay true to Him because of that trust, we also trust in our spouse, and we are true to them, and we don't doubt the promises they made to us.
Yeah. Very good points. I got a question. Was the guilty woman put to death? Was the guilty woman in Numbers 5 put to death? We know Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. Situation where adultery has been witnessed, been established. What happened to the adulterer and the adulteress?
So,
They were put to death, right? We're gonna get to this again as we get into to Numbers or Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 22. But how about this situation?
No.
Was the wife put? Go ahead, Eric.
Well, Luke brought that up last week, which I didn't really consider before he mentioned it, but I can definitely see that as a possibility. Like what he was saying is her thigh would rot and her belly would swell is the verdict, and then that last verse in this chapter, that she shall bear her guilt, is the punishment.
Right, she will become a curse among her people.
Yeah. I think this is an important distinction for us to make. In Numbers chapter 5, Numbers chapter 5 does not say that the woman was put to death. This is not a normal case.
I think that she would rather be put to death than have to live out her sentence. I would almost guarantee it. I would rather just, you know what, just take me out my misery.
Get it over with.
Yeah, just get it over with than have to be a curse among my people and live with my guilt. That in itself is worse than death, I think.
Yeah.
You have to wear that scarlet A everywhere you go.
Yeah, and that was, and the important thing is, again, that this is a different case.
Right.
This is a case where there's not going to be any witnesses.
Right.
But in this
She
case,
wasn't
you
caught
God
in that.
God is the
God was the witness.
he is the judge that's going to give the sentence, and this is his sentence. Why is it different than the other cases? Why is the sentence different than the other cases? I mean, we can speculate,
Right.
but at the end of the day, we
know that God still justly
yes.
distinguish that sentence, that judgment.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Katie.
Well, in this particular situation, it's a matter of the husband being jealous. There's not any proof that she's committed adultery.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's just a
So
spirit of
this
jealousy
that
that
could be
you
why there's no death sentence, is because it's based on the husband's jealousy. And there's no proof of anything else other than till he takes her to the priest.
Yeah.
Well, I
want
think
to
the
just
case is-
satisfy his curiosity.
if she is guilty though,
Yes.
is what we're talking about, right?
If she is guilty, correct.
Right.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I just thought about. And again, this is Steve speculating because you know I don't want to say, well, this is the reason why this was
Right.
put. could it be if the woman was put to death? What sort of message does that send to the Israelites for the future that would come across this
And then what
individual?
about the man she committed adultery for? What happens to him? If nobody knows who he is, why does she have to die and not that man too? So, just a question.
Or bear this guilt.
Right, they both should, yeah. So it takes two people to do this, so.
That puts a lot of weight on the woman, puts a lot of responsibility on the woman to make sure that the men are staying in check too.
Right, exactly.
Again, I can't say that I fully understand this method, but I was just thinking about this woman who will be a curse among the people. It's like what a continuous lesson. Her life becomes a continuous lesson to the rest of the Israelites that see her,
Right.
that see the woman dealing with the curse of this judgment, to say, we got to watch ourselves. In our marriage relationships, we have to make sure that we're staying faithful, that we're staying pure.
Yeah.
Because if not, God judges, and also God sees what's hidden behind the bedroom doors. All right, why don't we go ahead and end there? Let's not get into number 6. Lord willing, we'll get into Numbers chapter 6. I know we spent a couple of days talking about this